Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. You know, I guess I don't really got that much to talk about today, but, I've been looking at some stuff going on in, like, say, South Korea and Japan and even China to a certain extent. And I kind of want to talk about it because I know I made a video about it a little bit in terms of, like, single tax, but, I have ideas on, like, how we could dodge single tax, and I kind of just want to, before I get to that topic, I know I just like kind of mainly just talk off the top of the dome, but my male manager is back, so that's cool. I told him he was pretty much like the guy sensei of Panda Express to me, and he's cool, dude. Like like I said, I'll tell you this again: the best kind of managers you will want are the kind of managers you'll miss. The kinds that aren't screaming at you, the kinds that are like getting stuff done, and they're not nagging you. They understand that like you'll make mistakes. They don't fault you for it. They just, guide you through them. That's the kind of managers that you want. That's the kind of people in general that you want in your life. Like if you're going to be led by something, and I don't mean like you're just blindly following, but I mean like, again, maybe it's work, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's like a sport or something like that. You want somebody who isn't like going to be up everybody's arse, like trying to, hey, everybody needs to do things my way. You're doing it wrong. This is how you do it. You don't want that kind of person. You want the kind of person to say, hey, listen, I was once in that position. This is how you should do it. And even if you don't do it like my way, if you find a way that works and the job is done right, that's all that matters. So, I miss that guy. I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad that he's safe. Because the man said that he went to freaking Ohio and it was raining there and they were like in 40 below weather. So that was some gnarly stuff. I'm glad he's all right. Glad he's back. But getting back to the topic at hand. Singles tax, guys. This crap is blowing up, okay? Like, this crap is blowing up, and I've been really thinking about this, and I said, you know what? Hold up. We live in a clown world, we live in a clown world. They want to raise the cost of living, but then they want to get mad when everybody and their mom just says, hey, F it. I'm not going to have kids. I'm not going to marry. I'm not going to do all this stuff. And society is going to get mad, and they're going to be like, well, I want kids. I want new slaves for their system. Well, they're citizens. No, nigga, they're slaves. They are slaves. They're slaves, period, point blank, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Me blindly paying my taxes on all this stuff and I don't own it is slavery. Me basically earning $1 for every like 1,000 that like a top CEO earns is slavery. Sure, you may be giving me a little bit of something, but I'm lucky to freaking make a living with it. That's a luxury now. That's a luxury, and calling it out for what it is what a lot of younger people are doing, and that's why they're saying, hey, listen, if I can't guarantee that I have a good work and life balance, if I am going to be passing on poverty, then I'm not having kids. Of course, old-timers and your society cares because, hey, listen, they want to F everyone over. They want to screw everyone over. The old-timers are like, hey, listen, I had my easy life, and I want my freaking retirement to be easy, too. I want you mofos taking care of me till I'm dead. So of course they're going to be up your arse talking about, oh, we need a strong workforce, a successful workforce, people in the workforce successful. I'm like, just because you're in the workforce, you're not successful. I'm in the workforce, buddy, and it's not roses and cupcakes for me, and it's certainly not about to be roses and cupcakes for me as I get ready to probably, get paid and move into this room. I'm sure it might hunker now because, funnily enough, my hours at this job got cut because get this, apparently the store is not making as much money. This busy arse store, okay, makes, I found out recently, makes on average $80,000 a week. And now all of a sudden, they said that, oh, we're not making $80,000 a week anymore, so we have to cut hours. And so you think, okay, maybe just 10 hours or something. No. This 2 weeks, I have got cut 20 hours. From 70 to 80 on average to 45 right now, dude. That ain't nothing pretty, especially considering that, like I said, I'm going to be moving into this new place. Now, don't get it twisted. At the end of the day, getting paid every 2 weeks, a month, there's 4 weeks in a month, so I should still, have enough. But the point of the matter is that's going to make things a lot more uncomfortable in the meantime, especially considering that I Uber and all kinds of stuff, right? But at the end of the day, right, here's the thing. All of these people are catching on to how F the system is, and I know I say this a lot, but here's my thing. If they're really going to play that card with this single tax bullcrap and piss us off even more, I got a solution, gents, and it's outrageous, but hear me out. If you got one good friend, okay, you got one good friend, and that's your bro, and you can trust him, marry him. Relax. I'm not saying you need to kiss. I'm not saying you need to do any of this stuff. Just legally marry him, right? So that it's on paper. Because once it's on paper, technically speaking, you're a couple. And you're married. So you can't get taxed. Sorry, not sorry. Because listen, if we're going to play Clown World, let's just play Clown World, right? Hey, listen. The Fogats marriage is just as valid as, you know, a regular person's marriage, right? So, hey, if they want to keep playing this mess, just marry your bro. I know it sounds stupid, but hey, this is a clown world. We're trying to make sense of the circus here. Circus is not meant to make sense. That's mistake number one. But I'm just saying, like, wouldn't that make a lot of sense? Because, again, they don't want to change this stuff. They're all sitting around here blaming you for not getting with some chick and popping out babies so that they can be slaves. Maybe our parents didn't care. You know, our parents, 9 times out of 10, if you're in a really rough position and stuff like that, you got to wonder if your parents had any plan for you. And I have, like, talked to my mom. I haven't talked to my father because I haven't seen that guy in who knows how long. But she didn't really have a plan. She just said, well, I'm pregnant now, I have kids, and she just took care of us, but she had no plan. And he had no plan. And he became incredibly abusive because of the fact that like, it was stressful, like, trying to raise us all. But at the end of the day, like, who stuck the dick in who and got pregnant? You know what I mean? And one thing I will admit to my mom is, you know, she could have easily became just like him, but she never did. You know, I'm not going to pretend like she was perfect. Not by any means. She did a lot of stuff wrong. But I will at least acknowledge the fact that out of all the people who could have been my mom, she was far from the worst. Far from the worst. There's a lot of bad people that could be your mom, man. And like I said, I mentioned this a while ago, but, you know, just thinking about this kid that's, you know, like they used to room with us back in Miami, and his mom is destroying him. His mom is destroying him. She won't let him go to school. She won't let him get a job. When he does get a job, she takes the freaking money out of his bank account and stuff. Like, if this guy ends up, like, on drugs, if he ends up homeless, if he ends up in a gang, it's going to be her, because what else is he supposed to do? I don't think people comprehend just how bad, like, the freaking start that you get can set you for life, man. People like to say, oh, it's all in your future, it's all in your control. But what the heck do you do with parents like that? This is all under the guise that you're going to have some kind of all-right childhood, some kind of all-right, you know, support circle. But there are people, plenty of people that are born without that. You know? And that's why so many of us now are just like, no. You cannot force us to have kids. You can't force us to marry. You can't force us to do anything. We've caught on. We are the children, quite frankly, and I know I said this before, we're the generation of broken families. I don't know anyone whose folks are still together. My mom is not together with my dad. You know? And I doubt that anyone's mom is together with anyone's dad. And if they are, it's probably not a good marriage. And if it is, good, God bless them. But that's not the average. That's not the norm. I mean, just today, one of my coworkers, right? He said, hey, man, because, like, we got a new hire. And he was like, oh, you're married, man? I'm trying to live like y'all, be happily married. And I looked at him and I shook my head and said, don't do it. I said, don't do it, man. No matter how tempting it sounds, you have to understand that they're married now, but no one ever started happily divorced. Look at how hard life is right now. You really want to go ahead and try your hand at that? Again, no one gets married and they're happily divorced. No one starts like that. Just because you're happily married now doesn't mean you'll stay happily married. And I hope to God that, again, because even my boss, he's married. I hope that, like, you know, his freaking wife doesn't just up and decide to screw him over. I hope so, man, because it's not right. It's not right what happens to guys afterwards. It's just not. You know, that's obviously a reason that people aren't going to get together. The cost of living is a reason. You know, if you're not going to have kids, like, these are all reasons. And instead of these freaking people trying to really do things to make sure that, hey, listen, having kids is almost like incentivized, then You know, it's not gonna happen. And here's what I would do. Here's what I do. If I was in charge, this is what I do. Okay, up to 2 kids, you'll get discounts for everything, pretty much, within reason. Not luxuries, but necessities. So food, water, clothing, shelter. Right? Food, you will get discounts to up to 2 kids, 15% each. So you get 2 kids, 30% discount in total. And that's on everything. Like I said, that's a necessity. So food, water, clothing, shelter. Your rent, discount. Your food, discount. Clothes, discount. It will be the government, right? Excuse me, can't speak. The government incentivizing you. Hey, listen, we're going to try and ease the burden a bit. Because I don't really think we should go out of our way to like just basically just take care of other people's kids, but instead make the burden a bit easier on them. So when they are taking care of them, you know, it'll be quality. Because listen, the last thing you want is just like ratchets, like what I come from, the Blizzaks, the ghetto, right? You don't want those mofos just shooting out kids because they already are getting cash and prizes. We want quality kids. So again, this goes up to 2. You can only have 2 active. Can you have more than 2 kids? Obviously, but the discount is only going to be for 2. Because the idea is 2 kids, right? That is still enough attention between 2 parents to where they're getting enough of hopefully father energy and mother energy. Not whatever the heck's going on now, because like I said, but do you really want to take a chance? Because listen, that's just one of the things, because like I just mentioned before, like the marriage whole thing, you know, like it's such a multifaceted problem that I really just don't see a future of solving it that way until you address the marriage issue. But even then, like, everyone's so freaking brainwashed by like all of this nonsense that even if the law's changed, that's not going to change how chicks think, you know? It's not. You can't force people to get married. This is why I'm all for surrogacy. I'm all for surrogacy, man. A lot of people are talking about artificial wombs, but I'm just thinking about what could go wrong with that, with all the freaking rich people. And then they're just going to like gene edit their babies to make sure that they're really intelligent. And listen, if you think these people give a rat's arse about like killing like hundreds until they make sure that they've basically got their like perfect one, then Planned Parenthood is a thing. So yeah, they don't really give a rat's arse. They'll just keep doing that until they get their like perfect heir and stuff like that. And because they got the money and they'll pass that money on to their kids, it'll just keep being a cycle. And so it won't even be like they're the same species anymore. I'm not saying that out of fear. I'm just being honest. That's just what I could easily see happening. So instead of artificial wombs, let's just use surrogacy. Make it more accessible. Not more accessible in the sense that it's cheaper. Because like I said, the one good thing about surrogacy that I like is it's a vetting process that proves you can actually afford to be a parent both mentally and financially, you know. There is a vetting process because they're not just going to give you a freaking baby so that you can do God knows what with it, right? They're not just going to do that. Yet, anyone can just pop out a baby. Anyone can just get pregnant. Yet, if you're going to be a surrogate parent, then, yeah, you got to prove it. You got to prove that you're able. So I respect that. That's what I think is the future right now. You know? But that's just all I had today. Pretty short. I'm going to go ahead and get home because I think I actually have tomorrow off and I should get paid tomorrow. So I'm going to try and get in touch with this lady, the landlord. I hope to God that property is still available. If it is, I'm going to try and pay the security deposit tomorrow so I can make sure that I've got that place. But as always, gents, I want to thank you guys for watching. And I know I haven't said it in a while, but listen, guys. There is life beyond your pain. You know, I'm not going to sit around here and tell you that, like, my life is going perfect and stuff like that. I still struggle with things. It is a challenge a lot of times, but I'm fighting for a life where I can at least hope that I have the chance to be happy. You know? And I hope that you guys fight too, because like I said, I do get a lot of my strength from you guys. I do. You know, you might not believe that, but listening to all the crap that some of you guys have been through is just... it's heartbreaking, dude. It's heartbreaking. But you're still here. Maybe you're not, like, in a perfect spot in life, but you're still here. Despite all of life throwing all of those haymakers at you, you didn't check out. And so if you can do it, then I can too. You know? But, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and end it here, guys. Thank you guys for listening, as usual. God bless. I will see you guys next time.